See that, Daisy?
Now, wait a minute. You can't bluff a man with a bad hand you didn't fill.
It's yours.
What?
Worm, I'll break every bone in your body.
Take your dirty paws off of me.
Yes, sirree. I'm sure for an hombre that can take care of himself.
You know, it's been a while since I watched and reviewed a Hoppalong Cassidy film. You know, I always get a kick out of these old westerns, and yeah, I realize I'm really probably straining the interest of my 3 fans with this, but you know, what can I say? Every now and then, I'm just in the mood for an old, comfortable western. And this one has everything that I would expect. It's got William Boyd as Hoppalong Cassidy, Andy Clyde as his old buddy California getting into trouble, and some sneaky bandits trying to steal some land. What more could you ask for? And it's also got a young Robert Mitchum. So I'll give an overview of this film and then some closing thoughts like I usually do. Well, the film opens up with Hoppy and his crew of cattlemen setting up camp for the night. Now with Hoppy are Andy Clyde as California Carlson and Jimmy Rogers as Jimmy Rogers. These guys are just trying to settle in when, wouldn't you know it, some ne'er-do-wells are spying on them and moving in. Probably up to some shenanigans. And hey, check out that secret face in the rock. Well, at the camp, Bud Lawton, played by actor Tom Seidel, seems a little bit down. He's sad that because after this cattle run, he's worried that he's not going to have a job anymore with the Bar 20. Well, Hoppy says he'll be happy to keep him around and keep him employed, and Bud is thrilled. He agrees to go down to the riverbed to stand guard for the night. But wouldn't you know it, some of those no-good, dirty cowpokes try to shoot at him. Well, Bud is almost hit, so he takes cover and he shoots back. Now, Hoppy and the guys hear the noise and they join the gunfight. Then they take off after those ornery, no-good outlaws, and they chase them off. Then back at camp, Hoppy questions who they were and suspects they were after Bud. But why? Well, the fellas head to town, and a postmaster is out on the street calling out about mail, with one letter being for Bud. So he reads it, and it's bad news. Turns out that Bud's dad has died. He's really glum about it, as he had left home when he was very young, and the good news turns out that he has inherited the family ranch, the Diamond Hitch, which, wouldn't you know it, this property controls all of the water for the area. That detail will probably be important later. Well, Bud asks Hoppy, California, and Jimmy to head to the ranch with him to help him get started there. But first he goes to the local lawyer to draft up some papers so that they can partner up with him. But on the way out, he's shot by some sneaky gunmen.
Bud. It's Hoppy. Hoppy. Bud, who got you?
I don't know, Hoppy. Strangers. One of them is left-handed.
Well, Hoppy and the guys find out, and they suspect it's related to the land claim. Now, since Bud had added them to the deed, they all sign it because Hoppy has a plan. Well, we cut to the bad guys, led by Mark Foster, who's played by actor Douglas Dumbrell. And hey, there's Robert Mitchum as one of his outlaws. Well, Foster's diabolical scheme is to have outlaw Kit Moyer pretend to be Bud, the guy that was just shot. Because his character had apparently been kind of gone for 10 years or so. So coming back, he can fool anybody, including his own sister, that won't recognize him as a phony, I guess. So they go ahead with this scheme. So this fake Bud meets with his sister, Faith, played by actress Claudia Drake, and seems to kind of believe in him, even though she maybe seems a little suspicious of the few sketchy things that he says. And all seems to be going pretty well, I guess. But once he starts talking about selling the ranch, she starts to get suspicious. Well, several of the ranch hands just up and quit, and things aren't looking good for the Diamond Hitch Ranch. But then Hoppy, California, and Jimmy arrive, and they see what's going on, and they apply for jobs at the ranch. So Hoppy and California head to town, and Jimmy stays to talk with Faith, and the music gets all soft and sweet as the hint of romance is there.
Aren't you being a little forward, Mr. Rogers?
Well, Hoppy always told me to put my best foot forward.
Both feet?
Honest, I wasn't trying to be fresh.
Oh, that's all right. I'm sure that any friend of Mr. Cassidy's means well.
There it goes again. Hoppy this, Hoppy that. Man, woman, and beast, they fall for him like a ton of brick.
Well, he is very nice. However, don't look so glum, Mr. Rogers. I'm saving my second dance just for you this evening.
Second dance? That's swell. Second dance? Why not the first one?
Oh, that's for Mr. Cassidy.
So in town, Hoppy goes to talk to the judge and lets him know that he thinks that this Bud character is a fake, and brings him up to speed about being a partner at the ranch. California, meanwhile, he's up to silliness at the bar, and he winds up getting in a fight with Robert Mitchum's character, Rip. So a big old fight breaks out, and poor California is getting punched around when Hoppy steps in, and then it's Hoppy versus Rip in a good old-fashioned fist fight.
Out of town. Come on.
This is the end of the line.
You stay out of this.
Well, Hoppy, of course, clobbers Rip, but Foster finds out and he wants Hoppy dead. And at a party later, Hoppy confronts this Kit character as the phony that he is, but Foster makes it look like Hoppy is the thief because of that contract that he's a part of. Well, Hoppy, California, and Jimmy, they try to get away, but when California gets hit with a head injury, they have to slow down and they're captured and they're put behind bars. But hey, at least they get some coffee and donuts. Well, the sheriff shows up. He's played by Roy Barcroft, and he releases them. But Hoppy suspects a trap, as there are some no-good outlaws waiting for them outside. And one of them is played, by the way, by actor Glenn Strange. He's been in a bunch of old monster films I've reviewed on this channel. And seeing that there's a trap outside, what will happen? Is this the end of Hoppalong Cassidy and his friends? Well, you'll have to see the end of this one for yourself to find out. Well, some closing thoughts to wrap this one up. You know, Hoppalong Cassidy films are a fun bit of escape. I love them, and I love old westerns like this. You know, he's this larger-than-life cowboy hero. His spurs come clattering as he walks into the saloon. He usually always wins his fights. And, you know, these are westerns where the stories aren't necessarily overly deep. And there's always a fun blend of action, comedy, a little romance. False Colors was directed by George Archambault, a director whose work spans numerous genres, but who is best known for directing westerns. And this was the 49th of 66 Hoppalong Cassidy movies. I think I've honestly reviewed about 13 on this channel, not in any sort of order. And you know, one day I might get through all of them, but like I said, they're just a bunch of fun. Jimmie Rogers, who was in this film, was the son of the famous cowboy entertainer Will Rogers. You know, the I never met a man I didn't like, that Will Rogers. Jimmy would play Hoppalong Cassidy's sidekick in a total of 6 films. And there's not much more I could say about this one. That's False Colors from 1943. It's an enjoyable Western with William Boyd as Hoppalong Cassidy. And I believe this one is on YouTube right now. It may or may not be in the public domain. I'll find out soon enough from the YouTube copyright bots. They love to slap me with those as soon as I upload a video, but hey, we'll find out. It's a good film, and it's a lot of fun if you're just looking for a short Western. It was no more than about an hour long. Hoppalong Cassidys are great, so it's a good film worth checking out.